welcome to another Drive-In Double Feature. I'm Ryan,
I'm Nathan.
and this is the podcast where we talk about two movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. But before we get into anything at all, we have a Patreon over at patreon.com/Drive-In Double Feature Podcast. You know, Nathan, I was at my local skate park the other day, and I
hmm
wound up talking to some skaters, and I said, let's all go to the NASA Space Center right now, gang. And we all went to the NASA Space Center, and
Hell
we
yeah.
had a great time and, grind the rails there, grinded
They let you do
the
that?
yeah, they let you grind like some like on the set, like the little fake moon rock set, you can grind that. But it
Nice.
was a good time. But not but then I said, this is such a great time. And when the skater says, but it's an even better time, the Drive and Double Feature Patreon. It's got some fun games, fun conversations between two friends, just having a good old time over there for only $5 a month, which does not affect any regular content whatsoever. And I said, "Oh yeah, that does sound fun." And they said, "I hope Nathan and Ryan realize how much we appreciate them." And I said, "I think they know."
I think we know. Also, your skater
Eh,
friends don't know that you're the drive-in double feature guy.
hey, that's I keep business separated from pleasure.
Okay.
So they know me as a different name, my skater name.
Oh, your skater name. Do you change your voice too? Do you put on like
Yeah,
a voice modulator
and, and a wig.
and a wig? Oh, okay, cool. That sounds
Yeah.
awesome.
But anyway, doesn't affect any regular content, only $5 a month. But today we are talking about 1993's Airborne, which is directed by Rob Bowman. This movie is, I mean, we Nathan kind of picked the movie Thrashin', and I was just like, I saw this movie, and I was like, I think this would be a pretty fun pairing.
hmm
And I thought this one was a skateboarding movie at first, but it's not actually. This is actually a rollerblade movie.
Yes, yeah, which makes sense. The 90s, early 90s, we were starting to get into
Sure.
rollerblading.
It's sure, yeah. And this one is famous just because there's a lot of familiar faces in this movie
hmm
that are doing this like before they were ever big stars. Jack Black, Seth Green, and of course Shane McDermott. I mean, who could
Oh
forget
yeah.
Shane McDermott?
Yeah, he doesn't even have a letterbox or not a letterbox. Doesn't have a Wikipedia
But
page.
that's because Nathan, this is his only movie. He
That's
did no
crazy.
other movies after this.
That's kind of cool. Yeah, because I saw like it's funny. I rented this movie on YouTube, and my YouTube recommendations were full of Airborne, and like some people just like interviewed him recently. And I didn't watch it. The thumbnail he seemed like he was doing all right, but was he actually a rollerblader, and that's why they hired him?
I don't believe so because he does have acting credits.
Okay,
He this is his only feature film, but he did do a lot of soap operas,
interesting. Okay.
and he did act out, past this movie. But he again, it was other soap operas, so
Mhm.
it wasn't like he went back into the feature film. But I mean, pretty much he did this, acted for about 5 more years, and he was done after that. That was his whole career in the industry.
Hmm. Interesting. I wonder why.
But yeah, Nathan, once you do Airborne, I mean, you've already gone as high as you could go. Why would you go sink yourself any lower?
Exactly. Yeah. Soap operas and Airborne, there's no, you've hit the tippy top.
Hmm. Definitely. But yeah, this movie is sort of similar. I mean, but this one is a fish out of water type of story.
Yeah. You do at least have a more defined main character here.
I will say that I at least had like an idea of who this guy was and what he was all about, and
hmm
they did have some mildly fun side characters.
hmm
Um, because we do start. The main character's name is Mitchell Goosen,
hmm
which is a parody. They mixed up the two Top Gun characters because Mitchell for Maverick and Goose for Goose.
I didn't
So,
even think of that. What the hell?
but yeah, they he starts out the movie. He loves surfing. Like surfing's like his number one passion. He loves rollerblading as well.
Hmm.
He gets home from work, or not from work, from school, and his parents sit him down and like, hey, we got some news. We're gonna go to Australia, and he's like, all right, that sounds fun.
Hmm.
And they're like, you're not going. You have to. We're gonna be gone for 6 months, so you gotta live with your aunt uncle in Cincinnati.
Yeah, yeah. So he is away from the waves, which is all about his life. That's his personality. He definitely hams up the whole like dude, bruh type of deal. Very laid back, chill surfer dude, and that is his character. Like if you think of the archetype, that's what it is.
I'm really confused though. So his parents are like adamant, like you cannot come. Like we're gonna be gone for 6 months, which I mean, I don't know why he couldn't just go. I don't. I mean, he was gonna be away for 6 months. Like I don't see why he couldn't go to Australia. He was like, because they could have done. I don't see why he couldn't have just gone to school there.
Yeah,
What the
or
difference was.
some type of tutoring, homeschool. I'm sure that because people do that all the time. I'm sure there is some way to transfer that over. Yeah, I agree. I also was questioning that because it's like 6 months.
His parents just seem like jerks. They're just
Yeah.
like they're like, no, you can't come. And there was no mention of him like coming to see them or
Mm-mm.
or anything. It was just like, yeah, we're dumping you off for 6 months. And
Yeah.
also too, he has a dog in the beginning of this movie,
I
and
thought about
we d-
that.
they don't mention what happens to this dog because he doesn't bring his dog with him to Cincinnati,
And
and
I doubt they
I'm
brought that
assuming they
dog to
didn't.
Australia.
Right. So
Yeah.
I was wondering what
We
happened to this poor dog.
we trust the dog more than you. The dog's gonna stay in the home, watch out, make sure everything's good, and then you get to go to Cincinnati.
They just gave up the dog to somebody else.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, oh, we're putting it down because we gotta leave. Which is
Yeah.
because they even bring that up. They bring up like because like oh the last dog we had to put down, and that was the first bad conversation.
Right.
Terrible.
It just shows him going to Cincinnati. He brings his surfboard, and what do you know, Nathan? It's snowing in Cincinnati, but he's just walking around like a goober with this big giant surfboard, and it's snowing
Mhm.
out.
Yeah, it's because he doesn't go anywhere without his board. I forget he has like a name for his board, doesn't he? Um,
I can't remember, but he said like, yeah, like my surfboard's everything. I'm like, if I don't have it, I feel like I'm naked.
oh no,
And his aunt's just kind of like, huh,
the line
okay.
is, and I remember it is, it's like my American Express card. Without it, I'm naked, which is like that must have been a commercial at the time or something. Yeah, but his mom, I forget, or I always forget that actress's name, but or sorry, his aunt. But I've seen her in
It's
like a million things.
Edith McClurg,
Yeah, yeah, she's in
uh,
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That's what I remember.
Ferris Bueller's
Yep,
Day Off.
yep, all of
Uh,
those. Um,
she
but
she's in a lot of stuff because she's got that very motherly type of voice, and she does a lot of voice actor work too. But
yeah, but Seth Green is his cousin.
Seth Green is in this movie. It's 1993. Seth Green, and a horrible hairstyle. Like
Oh, I
I
hate it.
immediately right away when I saw him, I'm like, that's Seth Green. Like that's what he chose to go with in this movie.
Yeah, or do you think that was to make him look like gross? Because that's like this movie treats him. He's like he's the most disgusting human being. Like everybody just like hates him because he seems like he's a nice enough guy, but he lies about everything and about all of his friends at schools, loving hockey and everything. You know, and now I'm thinking about it, he plays Seth Green really well. Annoying. He's very annoying. It's cause, but I mean, what's nice here is that they don't really get in a fight. I thought they were gonna like something bad was going to happen between the two cousins, but they both are really nice to each other. Everything they deal with together.
I do have a brief argument later in the movie,
That's true.
but it's resolved very quickly.
Yeah, it's not like a whole like drawn out 15, 20 minutes of them not talking or anything.
Uh, but yeah, he goes to school with Seth Green, and immediately right away he's kind of like persona non grata. nobody likes
Mm.
him. Like all the guys, at least, all the guys hate him in this movie, but all the girls are super into him because he's different from what's there. When he goes to class, he kind of just goes like, yeah, I love surfing, because everybody gets up because it's speech class. That's why. And they
Yeah.
all have to get up and do a speech about each other. And like I said, Jack Black is in the movie and he's like, I love sleeping and playing Nintendo.
Nintendo.
And
Hmm.
I'm like, that's so relatable. And
I'm just like him. Yeah, it's so funny that so that is two movies this year with Jack Black in it in the first 2 months, which I think is really funny. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's interesting seeing him so young in movies, and he's not over the top yet. Like, of course, he's still Jack Black, but he's not doing that shtick that he does nowadays. It seems like maybe he's trying a little. I'm not saying he's good, but he's trying a little.
I mean, and the movies now recently, it just feels like it's just Jack Black playing Jack Black. But
Hmm.
this one, he's like a doofus kind of character, but he's at least got something going on.
Yeah, because he's
Um,
kind of a bully, like for the most of the movie, but then he kind of like as we'll find out later, he kind of warms up later into the movie. Um,
um, but there was one scene though in this classroom scene which took me by surprise, where the bully character like gets up all of a sudden and then takes Mitchell and just chucks him out the window, like goat smashes through the window. I was so taken aback. I'm like, whoa, like
I think I remembered that a little bit from the. Do you remember Nostalgia Critic reviewed this movie?
I don't.
Oh, what? Yeah, I remember the Nostalgia Critic review. That's how I had ever known about this movie. How did you know about it?
I saw it on your watch list.
That's really funny. Yeah, no, no, yeah, nostalgia critic. There was some bits of this movie I already knew. I don't know why, because some of his reviews don't stick in my head, but for some reason this one did. Because there's like this whole bit in the speech class where there's like a kid who's all bruised up. He has bandages all over his face, and he doesn't
Well,
talk.
he's wearing like a face mask because that's like to protect broken nose. Which
Yeah.
again, I don't know why he wore that, because you only would wear that if you're playing sports.
Yeah. But yeah, he's just wearing it, doesn't say a thing. And I remember in the review, Doug Walker was like, "What the hell was that? Well, who was that? What is this shit movie?" It's just something stupid. But yeah, it's that happens, and then he becomes like the school menace for a lot because he gets like no, well, first he meets a girl at a hockey game because Seth Green gets forced into the hockey game and he does horrible. And he meets a girl, which kind of reminds me of another movie. We find out later that this girl is actually the sister of the rival of the gang that's against him, and it's kind of like a Romeo and Juliet romance between the two of them. I don't know. It just seems really, it seems a little familiar to me.
Right. Yeah, you brought it up last episode, but this movie and this other one have a lot of similarities between it.
Yeah.
There's a big competition at the end of the movie. Somebody gets
Downhill
pantsed.
competition.
Yep, someone gets pantsed in this movie as well.
Yes,
And
except this one's a little more graphic because you see a whole man's butt. Like they pull it down and it's just I think Jack Black says a full mooner is what he calls it.
hmm
Yeah.
yeah, and he's wearing a jock strap for some reason,
Whatever.
but yeah, he ends up playing hockey because Seth Green's like, oh yeah, I love hockey. Hockey's so great, but he's just this little dweeby type of character, so
Hmm.
he gets annihilated on the rink. So they look to Mitchell and it's like, all right, surfer boy, like we need you in here. And
Hmm.
he goes out and they're playing against this other like rival school, and he actually skates pretty well on the ice, but he ends up scoring on his own goal. And he's just like, yeah, I did it. And everyone's like, you idiot. And
You scored the
even like
wrong
the rival
goal.
game, I think it's funny, like the rival game, like comes over and like pats him on the shoulder, like, yeah, man, you did a good job type of thing.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because that's what you're supposed to think because the whole the whole section shot, like he shoots an amazing shot and everything. But because of that, for the next like 3 weeks, they torture both him and Seth Green. Like it's horrible. Like they soak their clothes, so they have to like walk around and like soak clothes around school. Seth Green says he gets itching powder in his underwear.
Yeah, they get that. And Mitchell opens up his locker and just like a ton of sand just pours out of it.
But luckily, the bully, or sorry, the girl still wants to be with Mitchell. She's still into him. Well, it seems like all the women are still into him.
Yeah, and it's funny that they mentioned that it was 3 weeks because if you notice, like it's like it looks like it's like a winter, like it's like a blizzard outside.
Hmm.
But then in the next scene after the three weeks, it's like it looks like spring almost because
Oh yeah,
there's no snow on the ground. Mitchell, he gets like, oh man, my skates came in because I guess he left his skates there
yeah,
and he had it shipped to him and he was like, oh, I got my skates in and he ends up like, rollerblading. Oh, I know what I was going to mention. So didn't you think like so I was really confused about who like the main antagonist was going to be of this movie
same.
because if you notice like in the when he first arrives to the school there's a character named Snake and he's like like this like gang member
Yeah.
and he's just like oh like he's going to kill you like I can't believe and you think this is like oh like Snake's is like the big bad guy he's like a
Hmm.
killer and then it's just like no he just joins
Yeah.
the hockey team and just she's just a guy at that point and then like you said the brother character or whatever he's there and you're thinking like oh no he's gonna be the like the main jock bad guy but it's like no it's they become friends later.
Yeah, yeah, because that there's like kind of and they become friends, and then the main antagonist becomes like this. Don't even remember his name. The preppy guy, just the preps in
Blaine,
general.
chocolate
Blaine,
stain Blaine.
chocolate. Thank you, chocolate stained Blaine, who gets really pissed off at one point in the movie and just becomes like this horrible rivalry. But yeah, no, I thought that was interesting how the main villain kept getting tossed around. I kind of like that. I guess it wasn't like it wasn't really like predictable because of that. Because the obvious answer would be almost like Thrash, and it'd be, who the main bad guy here is. But here, like by the end of the movie, all the people that bullied him become actually really close friends, and they all like each other. They all think they're good skaters together. So I don't know. That was something I could appreciate. Um,
Yeah, I I can at least say like I knew something about each one of these side characters at
it's
least I
true.
can at least name one trait about them. I mean I mean, the only one that was just like there was these two twins, and and that was just like their deal. It's just like they're twins.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many side characters in this. Not all of them can have traits,
And
right?
they right. I mean, they could have cut down a little bit on the side characters,
Oh, they
maybe,
could have.
but
Yeah, because there's like a Hispanic kid that's like in their group, and he kind of pops up towards the end of the movie, like as having more of a character. Like there's like little things like that I was like, I don't know, just like a
you mean Snake?
was that Snake?
Snake was
Okay.
at the end of that was Snake at the end, yeah.
Oh wow. See, I had forgotten about him at some point in the movie because
Well, no, because at the when they're forming the hockey team, like to play the
mm,
hockey game, they're like oh we need 6 people or 5 people here, and Snake's like I'll do it, and
that's
it's like
right.
okay we got one here, and then he just, like I said, he just becomes like
That's
part
right.
of that friend group all of a sudden.
He
But
gets pushed to the group setting.
and you know, Mitchell gets picked on throughout them, but they end up playing a street hockey game against like the
Mhm.
preppy kids, and they end up Mitchell ends up pantsing Blaine, and
Mhm.
that sells it to the rest of the friend group. Like he's our friend now. Like we like this guy now.
Wow, he did a really good job of pantsing Blaine. Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Everybody, it was just that moment, and Jack Black is laughing, everyone's laughing, and guess what? Now you get to be a part of the downhill jam with all of us.
Well, he so yeah, because he goes home and the gang like kind of shows up and he's like, oh no, they're here to kick my ass type of thing. But then they're just
Mhm.
like, yeah, man, you're part of the. They pick him up and do like the
Yeah.
welcome him
Yeah.
into the friend group.
Oh.
There is a side plot of like a romance, like you said
Mhm.
earlier, but um, Seth Green, was like, oh, we need to give, like, hey, like you got a girl for my cousin to bring, and at first she is not into Seth Green at all. She says
Yeah.
that's the most boring man on the entire earth.
Not the first person or last person to say that.
And then, but she ends up, there is later in the movie, she ends up getting picked on in the diner, and Seth Green
Mhm.
has to kind of go and defend her honor, and then that sells them as a
Yeah.
couple.
I actually thought that was kind of cute. I don't know what it was because there's like a scene where Seth Green and them are like at the downhill and she like pokes her head out and she like kind of raises her eyebrows at him. I thought it was kind of a sweet romance. I don't know. I kind of liked it. I actually thought the romance all around was kind of well done in this movie. I liked the main two. I thought they worked well together. Um, but yeah, we skipped over one important part. There is a dressing scene. There is a costume tryout scene
Oh
before
yeah.
the date where I'm Too Sexy plays, and it goes on forever of Seth Green trying on like a cowboy costume, like a biker costume, like a rapper costume, and it's so silly. It's
It's a very dumb scene. Yeah,
yeah.
it's the most 90s scene in the whole
Oh,
movie.
oh yeah, especially that song choice, the costuming, yeah, it's very 90s. But yeah, you have that date scene. Everything starts to work out a bit better. There's no big drama romance between the two. Well, no, what am I saying? Not quite as big as her, one of them leaving, but there is a scene at the diner where he's like he says like I don't care about anybody here. I'm going to be back in California in a few months. And of course the girl hears that and she gets upset and she runs away. And that's kind of like his lesson to learn is just caring about the people that are around him, caring what he has, caring about who he has. I think at one point I think about this quote a lot because there's a song that uses a quote from this movie where he says like he says who cares what the shark has shoved up its butt, which is such a silly line. But his lines in this movie are insane sometimes.
Okay, now there's another thing too I remember where I got really thrown off at
Hmm.
one point in the movie because um he he's talking to Jack Black and the other guy, and he's just like, like, hey, you guys need to chill, brah. Like, and they're like, did he just call me underwear? And
I that
and
that
and
was
that,
good.
and it took me a minute to click for a second because he said that. He's like, did he call me? I was like, like what? And I'm like, I don't. And then I'm like, oh,
Yeah, like a
okay.
bra.
And then just
I thought that was a funny line. It was silly. Yeah, because I think did he just call you underwear? I don't know,
yeah,
goofy. But yes, the ending of this movie, we do finally get to the downhill jam. So
Devil's
much
Backbone.
Devil's Backbone so much better than Thrashins because they actually go through the city. There's cars they're dodging. They go down buildings and everything. And it's funny. I lived near Cincinnati for a very long time, and I've been to Cincinnati a few times. And this is Cincinnati. Like I recognized a lot of this, and it was very urban.
The only thing I will say I didn't like about the movie is that it's very hard sometimes to tell who each of the skaters
It's
are
true.
sometimes.
Yeah.
There was some I could tell by the looks of them, like Snake. I know he had like a little like gray sweatshirt and brown pants, and then the main guy Mitchell had what wore like this red thing, and Seth Green had
Mhm.
on like a Superman shirt, but he falls out like right away.
Yeah,
And
I was hoping Seth Green would, he'd just make it right at the end, but no, he gets a truck ride to the bottom.
yeah. And honestly, like it turned out like Snake is the best skater of the
Yeah,
entire group because he is first out of everybody.
no, it's actually it subverts your expectations a little, right? Because you'd expect the main character of the movie to win. That's just like the way this movie honestly reminded me of like a Disney movie a lot of the ways, and that's how one of those movies would have ended. But no, he actually ends up being the last winner. Should I guess that's the way you
Well,
would put it.
because they all have like this giant group. I think it's, 6v6 or something like
Yeah.
that. And the whole thing is you have to get whoever gets the first three members to cross.
Hmm.
So, Snake crosses, and then it's then like it's two of the rival gang. It's like, oh no, like they only need one more member to cross.
Hmm.
And the main bad guy, he ends up uh falling into like the water, like the Cincinnati or I go would that be
I think the
the
Ohio River.
yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, Mitchell has to do like this big stunt. There's this ramp and he has
Hmm.
to jump off like this building and land perfectly on this one truck ramp. And of course, so that gets him the win. And that's pretty much it from like the movie plot point. They end up winning, but like you said, so I watched these movies back to back, Nathan.
Same here.
But I watched Airborne first, and then I
Hmm.
watched Thrash, and I don't know what order you watched it in.
We always do this. I watched Thrashin' first, and then I watched Airborne.
I almost wish I'd done what you did because that's probably one of my reasons why it soured a little bit on Thrashing because I was just
I
like,
could see
oh, like
that.
this, like the filming in this one is much more dynamic. And to be
Oh
honest, I didn't even like Airborne that much. Like it sounds like we're talking like we're loving it, I mean,
no,
but
it's
but
nothing amazing.
but I mean, I but it's just funny because after got done watching Thrash, and I was like, oh, I think I like Airborne. Like my appreciation for Airborne has gone up.
Yeah, I think that's why I maybe like Thrashing a bit more than you because I did watch it before. And then, but I still had the reaction of like, oh, I like Airborne more because I watched it
Well,
after, and I was like, oh, this is kind of I want to put in quotations, an upgrade to that movie.
and the other thing too that tripped me up big time was so in the end of this movie, Airborne, it ends in the downhill
Hmm.
race, and then after I got done with Airborne, I immediately put on Thrashin', and this movie at Thrashin' begins with like a dream sequence of a downhill
That's
race. And
right.
it's almost like it just picked up immediately where this one left
What a
off.
great pairing. No, I mean this pairing was both a detriment, but also just really cool that we watched them back to back like this. Just how like connected they are. But yeah, no, it must have been a lot for you to watch these back to back. Like watching because double features, I think, are better when it's two completely different movies. At least I feel like that just is better. Whereas like if you do the two of the same movie, you start to compare them too much, and that becomes an
Yeah.
issue.
And I mean, just due to time constraints, it's just how I had to do it
Yeah.
this week. Yeah, but I normally what I like to do is I like to space it out when from my
Mhm.
viewing preferences, I at least like having like a day
Same here.
buffer to like just kind of digest the movie a little bit and kind of but just due to time constraints, I had to watch them back to back like that. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, overall, I mean, like this one is nothing special by any means. And like I said, I was kind of thinking, I was like when I watched this one, I was like, oh, like I picked a real dud. But then after I watched Thrashin' and everything and put them back to back, I was kind of like, oh, Airport's not as bad as I thought it was, I guess. And uh, so I mean, for me, again, like I could see somebody that was super into rollerblading, would think this movie was really cool.
Mhm.
But I mean, overall, I mean, it's kind of a nothing movie for the most part. It's just there's some cool sequences. I thought the final climax was actually pretty interesting to see,
Mhm.
and there's at least some side characters in here and some characters I at least got an idea of who they were, and I was able to kind of be invested in their journey a little bit. So, I mean, but would I recommend this to anyone as a whole? I probably wouldn't, honestly, but um, it's it. But I mean, it's not the worst thing you could see either.
No, I didn't think it was a dud. I kind of liked it. I don't think it's great or anything. I think some of the writing's silly. It's definitely very 90s. But I there's some things I liked about it. I thought it was funny. I thought it had a decent plot. I actually thought it was really well shot. I thought the cinematography was surprisingly good on some of this. So I mean, I had a lot of fun with it. Mileage is going to vary. I think you got to be into movies of the time period for one. I can't recommend this to somebody if you look back at like early 90s movies with like
I
silly
hate 90s
well,
movies.
you know what I mean? Like surf. This reminds me of like Surf Ninjas in a way, where it's like you gotta like be into that cheesiness to get into it. But I guess I was just kind of in the mood for that this week, so it worked for me.
Mm,
I had fun with it. I'd lightly recommend it personally.
cool. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a movie of its time, and
Hmm.
I'm really interested to see what else the 90s has in store for us.
Yeah, which we we will do plenty more, I'm sure.
Absolutely. But I think that's going to do it. So, Nathan, what are we going to be talking about next time?
We're back to it again with Sawzilla. But this time, we're not going to be doing any Saw movie. We're going to be doing a movie from the Book of Saw, Spiral, from
My favorite book.
2021. Yeah, I love Saw is
Huh.
just one of my favorite books. I read it all the time, like my Harry Potter books. But if you are interested in streaming this one, it is streaming over on Hulu. But Ryan, what are we covering on Thursday?
Uh, there's no avoiding it anymore, Nathan. I have avoided this movie for a long time, and ever since we did the Godzilla uh, lead up to this, I was kind of hoping we wouldn't have to do this movie at some point. I've been dreading it, but Nathan, we're going to be doing the 1998 Godzilla movie directed by Roland Emmerich. It's not streaming anywhere. Why would anyone even want to put this on their streaming
I
service
know,
anyway? I
right?
mean, I like it's they're just like people are just like, hell no, I'm not putting this on my streaming service.
Yeah, that's
So
a lot of fish. Hmm.
it is a lot of fish, Nathan. It's a lot
It
of
is, it's a lot of fish.
yeah, it's a lot. But anyway, um, you have to pay for that one if you want to check it out. But if you have any thoughts and opinions, please email us over at drivingdoublefeaturepodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/drivingdoublefeaturepodcast, and YouTube channel, youtube.com/drivingdoublefeaturepodcast. But until next time.
Until next time.